Almost all Europeans coming to the United States arrived at Ellis Island in the New York City harbor. Here they went to the Immigration Processing Center. New arrivals were taken by ferry to the main building at Ellis Island, which was opened in 1892. The first immigrant to arrive was a 15-year-old girl from Ireland. Her name was Annie Moore, and she was coming to join her parents in New York City. Immigrants entered the main building through its ground floor baggage room. They left their trunks, suitcases, and baskets here until they were finished. Immigrants with only a few belongings carried their things as they climbed the stairs to the Great Hall for medical and legal examinations. The third step was the 6-second medical exam. This was the first test that immigrants had to pass in order to get into the United States. As the immigrants climbed the stairs to the Great Hall, doctors stood at the top, and you can see the stairs there on your right. Doctors stood at the top and watched. They were looking for anyone having difficulty coming up the steps. If a medical problem or disability was suspected, one of 17 different chalk marks was put on the person's clothing. They were then sent for a full physical examination. If they weren't marked, they went on to wait in the Great Hall. By 1917, complete medical exams were required for every immigrant. So they discarded the 6-second medical exam and did a more thorough medical exam on every immigrant. The main purpose of these exams was to find people with contagious diseases or conditions that would make them unable to work in this country. If their problem was curable, immigrants were sent to the island's hospital. If the problem was not curable, the steamship company that brought them would have to pay to send them back. The Great Hall was the large waiting room of Ellis Island. Immigrants waited here for their interviews with the legal inspectors after finishing their medical exams. At best, the entire process through Ellis Island took 3 to 5 hours. But sometimes problems came up, like family members waiting for a relative to be treated in the hospital ward. Some families stayed for days on Ellis Island, others for weeks, and still others for months. After passing the medical exams, immigrants had to prove that they could legally come to this country. They had to prove their country of origin and say where they expected to live and work once they entered the country. Inspectors rejected any immigrant with a criminal record or those suspected of being indentured servants. In other words, those who'd had their trip over paid for by someone else in exchange for free labor. By 1921, immigrants also had to pass a literacy test and show a passport and visa. In the money exchange area, immigrants exchanged the money of their homeland for U.S. dollars and purchased train tickets they needed. Laws passed in 1909 required each immigrant to have at least $20 on them before they were allowed to enter America. Just beyond the money exchange was the exit from Ellis Island. Staff members referred to the spot as the kissing post because of all the emotional reunions that were witnessed there. 2/3 of new Americans then boarded a ferry to New Jersey, where the next leg of their American journey would begin. The remaining third took the ferry boat to Manhattan to begin their new life in New York City, only 1 mile away. In the next video, we'll talk about how the vast influx of immigrants changed American cities and some of the problems that were caused by the rapid growth of these cities.